Thorgy Thor. Thorgy Thor competed on Season 8 of Drag Race US and then went on to compete in All Stars 3. Throughout her time on both seasons, Thorgy was portrayed as being a bit paranoid, and the producers seemed to push this storyline that Thorgy felt as though she was being disadvantaged in some way. And on a certain level, I do agree that Thorgy was not treated fairly on both seasons. When I think about queens who are doomed to fail in a particular challenge, one of the first examples I think of is Thorgy Thor during the Divas Live lip sync in episode 2 of All Stars 3. For the challenge, each of the queens were assigned a different diva/gay icon to portray during a pre-recorded lip sync challenge where they sung RuPaul's songs in the style of that diva. The divas included Mariah Carey, Julie Andrews and Diana Ross among others. Thorgy Thor was assigned Stevie Nicks. For anyone who doesn't know, Stevie Nicks is a singer who was part of the band Fleetwood Mac, and she also went on to have a successful solo career. During the challenge, Thorgy made several comments saying that although Stevie Nicks is a gay icon and a diva, she is not as well known as some of the other divas in the challenge, such as Mariah Carey. Thorgy also made the point that Stevie Nicks is not well known for having a big personality or particular mannerisms that are easy to copy, like some of the other divas. And to a large extent, I do agree with Thorgy. Although I knew the name Stevie Nicks, I was definitely not as familiar with her work as I was with some of the other queens like Mariah Carey or Celine Dion. In fact, during the episode, Thorgy even said to Shangela in the workroom that her lines during the lip sync weren't as funny as Shangela's and that she felt as though she was being set up to fail.
There is no way, because I'm Stevie, I'm ever going to win this. I feel like I'm being set up to fail.
But Shangela disagreed with Thorgy and said that it was all down to the performance and that Shangela could make any role funny. And although I can see Shangela's point, I do think that Thorgy's role was more difficult and her lip sync was also not very funny. If we look at the lyrics for Thorgy's part of the lip sync, the lyrics to that particular RuPaul song, which is Born Naked, the lyrics just aren't funny and they don't really leave much room for any jokes. If we compare that to the lyrics for Shangela's part as Mariah Carey, we can see that there are actual jokes. The RuPaul song that Shangela lip-synced to was The Realness, but there were lots of extra lines added between the lyrics that contained actual jokes. For example, the Happy New Year part was a reference to Mariah's infamous New Year's performance where her mic stopped working.
Happy New Year, everybody. Guess we're going over here. Let's let the audience sing along.
Happy New Year! I'm gonna say what the audience saying.
There is also the part that says, "Can I get more of me?" and also, "Someone's getting fired," which all feed into the stereotype that Mariah is a diva. And as another example, if we look at the lyrics for Ben de la Crème's part as Julie Andrews, the lyrics included many funny and rude words because they come from the RuPaul song Call Me Mother. And this is just inherently funny because Julie Andrews is a refined British older lady, so to hear her voice saying all of these obscene lyrics is just funny, even without needing to say actual jokes. So not only is Stevie Nicks not as well known as some of the other divas, but the actual lyrics to the song, which the queens were assigned, were also not very fairly distributed with jokes. And it seems like one or two of the queens got all the jokes and the rest of the queens got hardly any jokes. And I do agree that perhaps Thorgy could have pushed her performance a little bit further as Stevie Nicks, but I still don't think that would actually have helped ultimately. For example, Aja said that there is a rumour that Stevie Nicks is a witch, so if she had had the role, she would have come out with a broom and a wand and played into that stereotype. But Thorgy didn't want to do that because she wanted to stay true to the real character of Stevie Nicks. I also think there was some shady editing during the main stage critiques to feed into this narrative against Thorgy. For example, they cut to Thorgy saying that Stevie Nicks isn't a gay icon, and then they show RuPaul disagreeing with her.
It's not like a gay icon.
Stevie Nicks is definitely a gay icon.
However, I think it's obvious that Thorgy said something more than that, but they just cut off the rest of her sentence. Thorgy even confirmed this during an interview with Billboard, where she clarified what she actually said was, quote, "Stevie Nicks is not a gay icon who can win at a gay drag queen competition next to the divas in this challenge." But they cut off the last part of her sentence, which made it sound like she was saying something different than she actually was. And even the guest judge for that episode, Vanessa Williams, said that Stevie Nicks was a harder character to do.
I think Stevie Nicks was a hard diva to do.
I'm trying to keep my mouth shut because I don't want to make any excuses.
And I assume they showed this part to try and feed into the narrative that Thorgy is paranoid and is always complaining. And then Vanessa shrugged, which implied as though she was fed up with Thorgy, but I don't think that's actually how it happened if you watch the edit.
It's not like a gay icon.
So all in all, I do think that Thorgy was doomed to fail in this particular challenge, so it's not a huge surprise that she was eliminated at the end of this episode. And I think if the roles had been reversed and Thorgy had played Mariah Carey and Shangela had portrayed Stevie Nicks, I think the outcome of the episode would have been different.